What if everyone told the truth? On a Tuesday morning in a small Brooklyn cafe, the day began with a scene. The barista, usually a smiling guy in an apron, suddenly told a regular, "You don't actually like our coffee. You drink it too fast. And by the way, you never leave a tip." The customer froze, and the barista was startled by his own words. At that same moment, people everywhere started saying exactly what they thought. No way to stop, no way to hide the truth. At first, it felt like a strange quirk of nature. In a marriage office, a bride blurted to her groom, "I'm marrying you because I'm afraid of being alone, and your mother annoys me more than a toothache." The ceremony collapsed. In corporate offices, managers could no longer mask what they really thought about their teams, and employees openly spoke about leadership's incompetence. The real chaos began when people realized how much of their lives had been built on lies. Advertising took the biggest hit. Brand reps could no longer call their product the best. Instead, odd messages appeared. "Our shampoo works like the others, but it costs more because we pay our marketing team more." Or, "This car has transmission issues, but we hope you won't notice." Major fast food chains lost 80% of their customers in 3 days when workers described the real state of sanitation on the job. Unexpectedly, smaller spots that had always used quality ingredients and kept things clean came out ahead. Their honesty became a competitive edge. Product returns dropped, and average trust ratings for brands with transparent descriptions climbed. Families were thrown into turmoil. Couples learned brutal things about each other. "I've always been in love with your best friend," a woman told her husband after 20 years of marriage. Parents could no longer hide from their kids that some of them hadn't been planned. Children told parents plainly that they were ashamed of them or hated them. Yet some families proved stronger, those where honesty had been a habit, not a performance. In normal times, they'd seem blunt, even rude, and had raised equally straightforward kids. In this new world, they were among the few who stayed themselves. After a week of upheaval, society instinctively invented the first rule of survival: truth or silence. People realized they didn't have to answer if the truth would cut too deep. Silent cafes appeared where talking was off limits. Psychologists and psychiatrists became the most in-demand specialists, and it quickly turned out that many so-called therapists were self-appointed. Some openly admitted their shortcomings. "I watched a few TikTok videos about psychology and opened a practice last month," one popular therapist confessed. "I bought my diploma online, and my methods are just repackaged YouTube coaching courses," said another. Many admitted they struggled with mental health themselves. It became clear that a good number of experts were untrained gurus, but those with real credentials quickly shaped a new ethic: truth plus care. It helped stabilize everyday conversations. In government structures, long-hidden matters surfaced. High-ranking officials began admitting to corruption, bribery, and betrayals of national interests. At one press conference, a defense minister exploded. "We sell weapons to the same terrorists we claim to fight. Some of our operations are theater for the public." One by one, governments lost support as the real motives behind wars, economic reforms, and international deals came to light. Diplomacy turned into hell. An ambassador from a major power arrived for talks in a neighboring country and said, "We consider you an inferior nation and plan to absorb your resources within a decade. These talks are just a distraction." It triggered a war between the two countries. Across the world, diplomatic scandals erupted daily. Secret deals, double standards, and open plans to economically subdue weaker states came into view. Finance changed in parallel. The banking system began to buckle when financiers could no longer hide that many investments were pyramids and many forecasts were pure manipulation. "We create artificial crises to buy up assets for pennies," a central bank official admitted. Credit unions and banks with simple, transparent services fared better. Publishing salary bands sharply reduced gender pay gaps. Companies that described their culture honestly suddenly became talent magnets. Religious organizations faced a severe shock. Some clergy admitted they didn't believe in God and served for power and money. A cardinal declared from the pulpit, "The church is a business built on human desperation. We know heaven doesn't exist, but we keep selling hope." Congregations emptied and hierarchies crumbled. Healthcare showed its true face. Doctors admitted to prescribing expensive drugs because of deals with pharma companies. "Half the surgeries are unnecessary, but we do them for profit," said the chief surgeon of a prestigious clinic. Pharmaceutical firms acknowledged hiding cheaper equivalents and dragging out work on cancer treatment treatments to keep profiting from chemotherapy. In response, open registries of conflicts of interest and transparent treatment protocols appeared. Patients began getting honest outlooks instead of soothing half-truths. You have a 60% chance of recovery. Here's the plan, and here are the alternatives. Paradoxically, that clarity reduced anxiety and improved adherence. In schools, kids began speaking openly about learning problems. More importantly, teachers stopped pretending they knew everything. "I don't understand this topic well enough to explain it. Let's figure it out together," said one, and their credibility went up, not down. Curricula became more practical when education officials stopped hiding how outdated some subjects were. Courses in critical thinking, financial literacy, and emotional intelligence emerged. In media and on social platforms, everything shifted. People started posting what they truly thought about their friends, and many shallow connections fell apart. Strong friendships, however, grew even stronger. New outlets lost the ability to rely on clickbait. "You won't believe" headlines stopped working. In their place came clear headlines and summaries: what happened, what it means, and which sources were used. Trust in quality journalism rose. Justice and public safety had their own reckoning. Some police officials admitted to corrupt schemes. Some judges acknowledged bias in rulings. That set off reforms: video recording of all interrogations, open decision registries, and community oversight. Wrongful convictions fell sharply when witnesses could no longer lie. Physical evidence and digital trails carried more weight. Blind plea deals became less common, and when evidence was thin, acquittals were more frequent. Even the underworld changed. Mafia groups could no longer hide, so organized crime either vanished or went fully open. Some outfits began operating like ordinary corporations, openly offering protection services and conflict resolution. Global trade reeled as well. Journalists and company insiders began telling the truth about how goods were made, where children were used instead of adult workers, how ecosystems were polluted, how quality raw materials were mixed with the bad. It turned out that some charities spent donations on executive pay or on goals no one could explain. In response, audits expanded to every stage of production. Products carried track and trace codes from raw material to shelf, and workers gained channels to report abuses. After the first wave of blunt honesty came adaptation. Within 2 years, society split 3 ways. Some people couldn't handle relentless truth and withdrew into virtual worlds, fantasies, or isolation. Others learned to live by the new rule and built a culture of honest tact. A third group, the children of the new era, grew up treating openness as normal. Transparency economics matured slowly. 5 years in, companies published real production costs, executive pay, and environmental impact. Competition got tougher, but fairer. Parasite businesses built on deception disappeared. Those who created real-world value thrived. The economy felt less festive, but it was steadier and more just. In relationships, people learn to value authentic emotions even when they hurt. Love stopped resting on illusions. Partners accepted each other, flaws included. Friendships became rarer but far deeper. Burnout from social roles eased too, because there was far less need to pretend. A decade later, one thing was clear: the world of lies hadn't been better. It felt more comfortable, but it produced more suffering, constant disappointments, and suspicion. The new world was harsh in its honesty, yet predictable. The new generation grew psychologically stronger. They weren't afraid of the truth. They knew how to deliver it with care and to receive it without falling apart. The world became fairer, not because people got kinder, but because systematic deception had fewer places to hide. Absolute truth didn't build a utopia, but it showed that humanity could adapt to even the hardest shifts, discovering new ways to live together and new skills we'd barely considered before. The world became honest, and that turned out to be worth more than the comfort of old illusions.